Hey everybody, Chris here from It's Mead Made, and today I am going to show you 3 ways to paint miniatures in a quick and easy way. So I know typically you're seeing me paint these bigger models, but today we're talking about minis. So miniatures for tabletop gaming. But for my minis, I like to just have them as game pieces. I don't make them incredible works of art. So if you play any kind of tabletop gaming and you print your minis, but you don't want to paint every little detail of them, I've got 3 methods today that we're going to go over that you can get some cool looking results and use them for your games. So everything I've already done to this point is I've cleaned up all of my minis and I've also primed them either black or white. And now I'm ready to get this final result. So for the first method, we're going to jump over to the spray booth and show you the Zenithal highlight. So the minis I'm going to be painting today are some ugly looking zombies. And this one is primed with my black Vallejo surface primer. Once I'm in the spray booth, I grab my Liquitex white acrylic ink. And the nice thing about using inks is you can actually put them directly into your ink pot when you are airbrushing with them because they're thin enough. I put 4 or 5 drops in just to fill the bottom of my color pot. And once I have that, I grab one of these pill bottles that I have and with some just poster tack on the top. And that just kind of gives me a handle to be able to put my minis on. You just press firmly and twist a little bit, and then they are stuck on there really, really well. And this allows me to hold it at an angle. And all I'm doing with the Zenithal highlight is I'm just lightly airbrushing the very top of it. So only from the top angle. That way from underneath I get those nice shadows, but from the top I get this like natural looking highlight. And this should look pretty familiar if you've seen some of my other videos. I use a Zenithal highlight for a lot of the basing of my models. But the only difference here is I've actually hit this a little harder than I typically would, and I'm also spraying the entire base white because I like to actually have it a little more lighter when I'm doing this for a mini. And you can also do this exact method, but then just go around the brim and paint it black to kind of give a little more definition as well. But it's really however you want to do this and how you want your minis to be. Then when I'm done, I just go ahead and take it off of there because the poster tack doesn't really damage it in any way. And then it's ready for the final reveal. So this is what we started with, a black zombie. And this is it with the Zenithal highlight. Now you can see a lot more definition, and the nice thing about doing this method is you can actually just use a rattle can. I've honestly in the past glued a bunch of them to a stick and went outside with a rattle can and just sprayed a bunch of them from the top. And you can use different colors as well. You don't have to just use white, but this is just to give you a good idea of what you could do. So in this method, I'm going to be using the Army Painter Speed Paint Starter Set. And the speed paints, if you're not familiar with them, they're kind of like a wash and paint all mixed together to where you get your base, shadow, and highlights all in one paint. So what you have to do is you have to take whatever you're painting and do a light base tone. So it could be a light gray or a white, but that way that everything shines through as it should. The nice thing about these is they are fast, hence the name Speed Paint. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to be using this orc skin for this little zombie mini. And I've got my little paint tray here, and all I'm going to do is put a few drops in. And then I'm just going to be taking a flat brush, and all I got to do is just apply this. One thing I did not mention, I like to use a flat brush just because it kind of drapes over the cracks a lot better. A pointed brush, you can kind of get into the cracks a lot easier because the whole point of this paint is you want paint to stay in the cracks and dry that way to get those definitions. So I really like using a flat brush for it, but you can experiment with different brushes and really see what you like. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'll let this dry and then we can look at the results. So here we are with our zombie painted white, and here are the results. I honestly really like speed paints just because all you have to do is apply one coat and there you go. It gives you enough shadows and highlights. And if you're just going for one color, there you go. But no one says that you can't mix these either. So I could have just painted all of the skin areas one color, then painted, you know, his clothing another, because the speed paints do come in multiple colors. But you can't beat being able to paint a mini and get these results in about a minute. All right, real quick, I just gotta say thank you to all of these amazing people for supporting me on Patreon this month. If you want to be like these people, you will get exclusive access to my private Discord channel where we chat about everything 3D printing and painting. But you'll also get access to all my behind-the-scenes content, as well as the opportunity to vote on some of the videos that I make every single month. If you're interested, the link's below, and let's get back to the video. So this next method I'm going to be using rub and buff. And all I need is a little Spouncer, or you can use a Q-tip or something like that. I just find that little sponges work a whole lot better. You also are going to want at least one glove, because the glove that you're holding the mini, because you don't want to get this stuff on you while it's wet. And then, always safety, I recommend wearing a respirator when using rub and buff, because it does have an odor and you just don't want to be breathing this stuff in. So safety first. So I'm not really going to go into a huge amount of depth of how to use rub and buff, because I've already made a video on how I use this on my models and minis and everything like that, and I'll go ahead and put that video right here for you. But for the most part, I'm just going to be getting some rub and buff on here and then just rubbing it all on with this Spouncer. And always with rub and buff, a little bit goes a long way. So here we go. So here's the black primed zombie, and here are the results. I think it turned out awesome. Rub and buff is definitely my favorite pick of all of these methods. I like using rub and buff for my minis because it makes it feel like they're like metal game pieces. And the nice thing is you can use different colors, because this is an owl bear that I've got in silver and even gold. And the nice thing is you can actually have some variation and have these together. Like all of my NPCs are gold and all of my bad guys are actually silver. And that way you can quickly identify who's who. So this is just another really cool method that is super fast and super easy to just batch out a bunch of them. And as you see here, I'm starting a new campaign with my kids, and I went ahead and printed every single mini I need for this campaign. So I went ahead and printed them, primed them all black, and I just put a rub and buff on all of them. But the one thing I love about rub and buff is it just brings the details out in your models. Like, you can see the feathers and fur beautifully on this owl bear. And that's why rub and buff is my go-to method when it comes to dealing with my minis, because I just don't have the time to put into painting all of my minis, because I have other things that I want to paint. So those are 3 ways that you can paint your minis and get them in your games as quick as possible. For me, definitely the rub and buff I just absolutely love, because they look like little metal figures. I know for me, the amount of minis that I print constantly, I don't have the time to paint every single one. And that's why I love these methods, because I can easily just spend a few minutes and get all of them done at once. So I'm curious if you guys have another way that you quickly paint your minis just so you can throw them in your games immediately. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in that next video.